If you are going to enjoy this video, like and subscribe. Let's continue to this amazing story. Sit tight and enjoy the show. In the quiet edges of Umuoko village, where the river shimmered like silver beneath the afternoon sun, a young woman named Onwuli fetched water every morning. She was known for her silence, gentle but deep, like the water she carried. Across the footpath that led to the market lived Ekwem, a blacksmith whose temper was said to be as fierce as the fire in his forge. Nobody imagined that water and fire could ever share the same breath, yet destiny had its own script. One morning, Ekwem's forge caught fire and spread toward the stream path. Onwuli, returning with her calabash, saw the smoke and ran to help, her bare feet splashing through mud. She beat the flames with a wet cloth until the fire choked and died. When Ekwem turned, their eyes met through smoke and sweat, her calm against his chaos, his flame against her flow. That was how love began, not through gentle words, but through struggle. Within months, gossip filled the market. The fireman and the river girl, people whispered. It felt wrong to many. How could opposites survive? Yet Onwuli and Ekwem's love burned quietly, humble and strong. They married under the moonlight by the river, where the priest prayed, "May your fire never dry her flow, and may her water never quench your flame." For years, their union thrived. They built a small home, and the village often came to them for wisdom. Ekwem's blacksmith trade flourished. Onwuli's calm spirit healed quarrels. They were a strange pair, yet balance lived between them. Then came the invitation. A cousin from the city wrote to Ekwem, "Come, brother, the city has need of men like you. Forge iron for engines, not hose. The world is moving." At first, Ekwem refused. "Our peace is here," he told Onwuli. But she said softly, "Maybe the river must flow beyond the hill." They left Umuoko with faith and hope, arriving in Ezeroa City, a place of noise, money, and ambition. The fire that once made Ekwem a craftsman soon made him a competitor. City men laughed at his honesty. Bribes, deceit, and greed danced around him like invisible flames. Onwuli tried to hold him steady. She prayed each dawn at the window, whispering, "Lord, let our hearts not dry." But Ekwem began to change. Money seduced him. Friends led him astray. He took contracts from corrupt officials, forged weapons instead of tools. One night, she found him hiding bundles of money. "This is not who you are," she said. "And what are we supposed to eat? Water?" he snapped. The first crack had appeared. Months passed. Ekwem no longer came home early. Rumors reached Onwuli that he had another woman, that he drank with powerful men. Still, she prayed. One evening, she had a dream. She stood in a dry riverbed. Fish gasped on sand, while a fire burned upstream. A voice said, "When fire drinks too much, the river forgets its name." She woke trembling and tried to warn Ekwem. He waved her off. "Dreams don't feed us." But the fire of corruption does not rest. One night, government men raided his workshop, evidence of illegal forging. He fled before dawn, leaving her behind. Soldiers came, broke their door, took everything. For weeks, Onwuli lived in silence. The city that once glittered now felt like a furnace. Then, one morning, she heard the bell of St. Kelechi's chapel. She went in, empty and trembling, and knelt. A strange old woman sat beside her and whispered, "When the fire burns out, only water remembers how to cool." That night, Onwuli dreamed again. She saw Ekwem in chains, crying beside a river. She reached out, but he turned into ash and floated away. She screamed and woke to a knock at her door. A messenger stood outside with a letter. It read, "They caught him. He is alive, but broken." She traveled for days to the prison. When Ekwem saw her, he fell to his knees. "I burned everything we built," he wept. "And I will pour again," she said, touching his face. Months later, he was released. They returned to Umuoko. poor but alive. Villagers whispered, "The city fire returns with smoke," but they ignored them. Ekwem rebuilt his forge. Onwuli fetched water once more. Then something strange began to happen. At dusk, when he hammered iron, sparks formed shapes: birds, rivers, faces. One night, a spark flew onto her water pot, glowing without fading. They both stared. Onwuli said, "The fire has learned to shine without burning." The next morning, she found a folded note on their doorstep. "Your union was prophecy. When fire marries water, the world learns balance." No one knew who left it, but from that day, peace returned. They became symbols in the village of love tested, purified by flame, and cooled by grace. One last time, Onwuli dreamed. She stood by the same river, but now the water flowed clear. The voice said, "Love is not when two become one. It is when both survive the storm and still choose light." When she woke, dawn was rising over Umuoko. The forge glowed softly, and Ekwem was at work, humming an old song. She smiled. Fire and water, still different, still alive, yet finally in harmony. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe till we continue in part 2. Bye, 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 bye.